Hello and welcome back to Mikey's Flightdeck. Today I will show you how you can build the fuel section for your Boeing overhead panel. To build the panel, you will need yellow and blue annunciators, 6 big on-off switches, a rotary switch, some 15mm hex standoffs, cutoffs of an 8mm aluminum tube and switch caps, an acrylic ring, the fuel gauge we have built before, and the front, middle and back plate. If you want to know how to make these black and white panels, then I have linked you a video here where I describe this whole process in detail. But there is one thing I've learned during my building sessions here, and this is what I want to share now with you. Filling these parts here, and especially the bigger parts here with this black wax, can be difficult because the wax isn't made to fill such big gaps here. It's made to fill only small engravings in any material. And so when you wipe away the wax on the surface again, then you can come out with some really flat spots where still backlight can come through. And to minimize the risk that such flat spots can appear, I have painted the bigger black parts with black paint, and so I have a thin covering of black paint on all these spots here, and when I then push the wax into it, then it don't need much of it to make a full covering. So some words about this glass plate and this ring here. I could have made this from one piece. This would have saved me some material, because with this method I will have to cut out a ring, and after this I have to take another piece of plexiglass and cut out this inside of the ring. But with this technique, I think I can come out later when I bring these two parts together with a clear and even painted ring here on the outside. I think you can achieve this also when you can mask out this round inside here and then paint this. But I think this can be difficult and wouldn't come out such clear here. And though I think with this method you come out with a really good looking result. I have thought a little bit about lighting up the numbers on this gauge here. Some people are installing extra LEDs that light up from the top or from the sides to this gauge. But I hope that enough light from the backlighting can find its way through these clear acrylic plates and to the gauge here. And to achieve this, I have masked out this inner side here of this cutout, then painted it and removed the masking, and so these inner sides here are still unpainted. And This, I hope, will be the way the light can take to light up the gauge.
To install the switch caps, the switches are heated up to prevent the hot glue from hardening too fast. A shared ground connection is soldered between all the components. From time to time, I'm posting pictures of some milestones of my work on my Instagram account, and one of these pictures was the finished Crossfeed knob here. And when I posted this, I got the question if I could say some words about the painting of this knob here. If you want to know how to make and cast and mold these knobs here, I have a special video that I can link you here, and you can watch this how to make these in general. But I can go into detail about the painting of this special knob here now. First of all, I had applied a primer on it, and this is a gray primer because I wanted to paint it gray after that. For white knobs I use a white primer, or for really dark colors I use a black primer. So a gray primer was applied here, and then it was painted gray. And then comes the tricky part where you should really spend time to make this accurate here. I have masked out everything to the right and the left, so everything you see here gray was masked out. And I have done this with masking tape, which I have applied on the right and left side. And so I came out with a stripe in the middle here. The stripe was then painted black, and so I came out with one white black stripe around this knob. And then I have applied 1mm masking tape, which you can buy in shops for tabletop accessories, I think, and masked out everything that should stay black here. And this again has to be made very accurate. And then I have sprayed some white paint over it. And when I removed the masking tape, then I came out with these two white stripes on the black stripe here. And the last thing I had to do was to apply clear varnish over the whole knob to protect the colors here. Everything was done with an airbrush pistol, and I think this will bring you better results than applying the paint with a brush. Maybe you can also use a pen if you have black or white pens, then this can work too. Now all the cables are soldered to the panels and the D-sub plugs and the Arduino breakout boards. I haven't showed this here in detail, and if you want to know how to do this, then you can watch my cable management video where I go into all these steps in detail. Now let's come to the settings in MobiFlight. I have done these already, and I don't want to show these settings every time again from the beginning to you. If you want to know how to make settings in MobiFlight in detail, then I have linked you the video where you will find all the informations from the beginning. You should now know that I have declared all my devices here. You can watch these here in extra settings, and here they are, the MobiFlight modules. I have only connected my Arduino D now here, and there I have declared all the LEDs, all the switches here, and one servo motor, which is for the fuel gauge. You can see here the names I have given to them, and all these names you will find here in the output map and in the inputs here. Let's come now to the settings I've done in Prosim, and in the combined config tab you can find all the values you need in the fuel category, and there under gauge you can find all the settings you need to set up your fuel gauge. You can see I have set the 5 key values already, and I'm using one complete offset here to control this gauge. If you want to know how to make and configure this fuel gauge, I have linked you a video where I go into this topic in detail. All the indicators you can find in the indicator tab. There is nothing special or nothing you don't know if you have followed my previous videos. Here you can see all the offset I'm using. Again, all these offset you can also find in my connection sheet, which you can download from my website. On the switches, there are all the different switches here. I have declared the on states of these switches here. And one special thing here is the Crossfeed switch. You remember I have used a rotary switch, and the Crossfeed on state is a complete horizontal position of the switch. And so I have the complete left and the full right position of this switch. And these are 2 pins of the switch, and I have soldered them both and connected them and bring them together to one cable and one pin of the Arduino. And so I can control this with only one offset here. There is another special thing here, and these are the blue annunciators. And these blue annunciators have a blue and a white LED in it. The blue indicators can be controlled here in the indicator tab, and the white LEDs can be controlled in the gate category. And here you can see I have set offset for the white LEDs here, which will control the white LEDs in these annunciator boxes. So let's now run MobiFlight and see if everything is working here. I have opened an instance of Prosim panels now, and here in the upper right corner you can see the fuel section of the overhead panel, and so we can control if everything that should be lighted up is also lighted up. And when I now click on run here in MobiFlight, then it should connect to the panel here, and especially the gauge should move into position. So I click now on run, and here you can see the gauge has moved in the position where it should be. And also the 4 bottom indicators are lighted up. And now we can make our first tests here. First of all, let's test the Crossfeed switch now. And we should see this upper blue indicator here going on blue and white, so a brighter blue. And then when the clothing is finished, then the white LED should go off and only the blue should be still illuminated. So I go now here to the on state, and you can see it's lighting up and the white is going out. And the same should now happen when we close the crossfeed switch again. White LED should go on and then everything should go off. There, the white is on and off. It works. So now let's try the two other switches here for the center pump, and you can see also the indicators are working, and now the bottom switches here working and the indicator goes off, and also the other switches. Indicators and switches are working, and the off position again. Switches and indicators are working, and the others are working too. Now let's test the rest of these indicators here. The filters and the right one are working, and the blue indicators and everything is working. I think the panel is working fine. So finally everything is working, and again I have learned that it is very important that your soldering work is done correctly. I've had some issues here with this panel. I had some signals flipping up and down, switches and indicators in the software, and I think the problem was that the soldering work of the cables wasn't done so correctly. There could have been some shorts in the D-sub plugs, and I have resoldered my Arduino breakout board from the upper and lower side, so the connection of the cable to this breakout board is absolutely clear. And this is important so that you don't run into such, I think, unnecessary troubles. But finally everything is working and I can move on to the next section of the overhead panel. And during this time you can build your own fuel panel section here with the DXF and 3D print files, which you can download from the member section of my website. And if you don't want to miss the next episode, then subscribe to my channel to stay informed about any upcoming new video from me. So I hope we'll see us soon back on the flight deck.